What's up, turds and nerds, freaks and geeks, and all that's in between? It's me, your girl, Daisy Dame. Welcome to, or welcome back to, my channel. It might be a little obvious, but I did start this video a little while back, and thus it still has the holiday intro. But I really wanted to discuss the pineal gland and why it's so important and what matters about it, especially when it is being calcified, and what it means when your pineal gland isn't calcified, and essentially more about it because I found it really interesting. I thought you might find it interesting, and I just really wanted to share this with you. Your pineal gland is also called the pineal body or emphysis cerebri. It's a tiny gland in the brain that's located beneath the back part of the corpus callosum. It's a part of your endocrine system, and it secretes the hormone melatonin. Your pineal gland's main job is to help control the circadian cycle of sleep and wakefulness by secreting melatonin. The pineal gland is shaped like a tiny pine cone, which is how it got its name, Pineal gland. However, it is pronounced pineal gland. The pineal gland is the least understood gland of the endocrine system. It is the last part of the endocrine system to be discovered, and I think there's just more to it. What is melatonin? Melatonin is a hormone that's mainly produced by your pineal gland. The importance of pineal melatonin in humans is not clear, but many researchers believe it is to help synchronize the circadian rhythms in different parts of your body. The circadian rhythm is a physical thing, mental and behavioral changes that follow the 24-hour cycle. These natural processes respond primarily to light and dark, basically saying we get less melatonin in the daytime as we would in the nighttime. So if it's darker out, we would get more melatonin production and secretion. What are some injuries that may affect the pineal gland? Damage to your pineal gland can cause it to work improperly. Approximately 30 to 50% of people who experience traumatic brain injury have issues with at least one endocrine gland in their brain, which includes the pineal gland or the pituitary gland. A traumatic brain injury can happen when there is a blow to the head. The injury can be penetrating like a blank wound, or a non-penetrating injury like getting struck in the head with something very vicious. Concussions are the most common type of TBI. If your mind wasn't already blown, prepare yourself. This is a doozy. The pineal gland calcification. Calcification of the pineal gland is quite common. In fact, it's so common that healthcare providers often use calcified pineal gland as a landmark on x-rays to help identify different structures of the brain. Calcification happens when calcium builds up in body tissue, causing the tissue to harden. It's said that your pineal gland tends to calcify as you age. While some calcification is normal, excessive can prevent your pineal gland from functioning properly. Some studies have revealed that the degree of calcification of the pineal gland is higher in those affected by Alzheimer's disease. There's a loose link between the pineal gland calcification and some migraines and cluster headaches. Isn't that curious? It sounds like we shouldn't want the calcification of our pineal gland. And I do wonder, what are some ways to care for your pineal gland? And how are these conditions treated? Pineal gland tumors are treated with one or more of the following therapies. The first is surgery. Surgical removal of the pineal gland tumor is difficult due to its location in the middle of a brain. Because of this, it's not a common treatment. In some cases, a surgeon might remove the entire thing, known as a pinealectomy. Oh my. There's also radiation therapy. This focuses strong beams of energy to destroy the cancer cells to prevent them from growing. Chemotherapy uses drugs to destroy the cancer cells to prevent them from growing. If you have a condition that causes your pineal gland to secrete less than normal levels of melatonin, your provider may have you take an over-the-counter melatonin supplement. Thus, this will help even out that unbalance. Since the pineal gland was one of the last of the endocrine systems to be discovered, scientists aren't fully sure of all its functions. The pineal gland has long been a mysterious organ. The pineal gland is commonly called the third eye for many reasons, including its location deep in the center of the brain and its connection to light and the circadian rhythm and melatonin secretion. Many spiritual traditions believe it serves a connection between the physical and the spiritual worlds. I find that to be very curious. Chakras are prominent in certain forms of Hinduism, Tantric Buddhism. The third eye chakra is considered to be the sixth chakra in your body. It's believed to be linked to perception, awareness, and spiritual connection, which is all linked to the pineal gland. While there's no scientific evidence to support these claims, many forms of spirituality and cultures emphasize the importance of the third eye, or the pineal gland. Isn't that curious? Why would many of these companies all, fawn after it? I don't know. It's curious. The pineal gland has a rich supply of adrenergic nerves, neurons sensitive to adrenal hormone, epinephrine, that greatly influences its function. Microscopically, the gland is composed of pinealocytes, rather typical endocrine cells, except for extensions that mingle with those adjacent cells and supporting cells that are similar to astrocytes of the brain. In adults, small deposits of calcium often make the pineal gland visible on x-rays, which then becomes more or less calcified. And now we're just going to try and learn a little bit more. Cultural traditions attribute the pineal gland to an important spiritual role with spiritual experiences. Mediumship and spiritual possession are cultural phenomena found worldwide, which have been described as having dissociative and psychotic-like characteristics, but with non-pathological aspects. A sympathetic activation pattern in response to spiritual possession has been reported in some studies, but empirical data on the pineal gland is scarce in this context. So it's basically describing that this can cause dissociative behavior and psychotic-like characteristics if yours is possibly calcified and such. That's alarming. Under methods, it states, we aim to investigate the pineal gland and the pituitary volumes, as well as the urinary sulfix melatonin levels in 16 alleged mediums, compared to 16 healthy non-medium controls. Control group, experiment 1. Furthermore, we aim to evaluate urinary sulfatory melatonin and stress reactively in GM under different psychological conditions. So basically what they're saying is they're trying to take experiments on these people to see how it will result. In experiment 1, MG presented higher scores of anomalous experiences, but there was no between-group differences regarding mental health or subjective sleep quality. Similar pineal gland and pituitary volumes were observed between both groups. There were no between-group differences in urinary sulfatoxy melatonin collected under equivalent baseline conditions. In experiment 2, the rise of anxiety and heart rate response is medium. Response to the mediumistic experience was intermediate between non-stressful controlled task reading and stressful controlled task 3 social stress test. No significant differences were observed in the tests between the 3 conditions. The pattern of stress reactivity during the test was normal, but with an attenuated salivary cortisol response, which is what? I'm going to look that up, but from what I know about medical literature, it sounds like something about an issue with drooling. One point that I wanted to make in this video that I really want to make is that we're not the only ones with a pineal gland. And in fact, actually, animals have them too, which that really took me off guard. I was really amazed by that. And it basically goes on to explain how they've always been connected with psychic phenomena, things like that. If you guys want to learn more about these things, you can pause and read and, just educate yourselves on these topics, which I would strongly recommend that you do if you do want to learn more. I didn't want this video to keep going on too long, so it looks like I'm going to have to make a part 2. For those of you who struggle with the holidays, I just wanted to say, The coast is clear. It's over now. You can bring your heads back out. You can come back out of hiding, okay? I know it's a struggle. I just wanted to tell you this. You did amazing last year, and I'm so, so proud of you. And I can't wait to see what you do this year. I can't tell you enough how grateful I am for this platform, how humbled I am daily by your kindness, your selflessness, and I just can't thank you enough, okay? Just know that from the bottom of my big chungy wungy hearty, I appreciate you and thank you. And here's to another beautiful daisy-filled year. Bye, guys.